I give to you the Mantastic Four.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mantastic Four podcast. This week, we have Father Crisis. Rocco, what's going on, man?
Woo, the Godfather. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to it.
So, man, you're on TikTok. You are an advocate for men, which is awesome, man. We need more men on multiple social media platforms speaking up for us men. So I'm going to kick it off with the first question. So, what got you into making content, man?
Well, that kind of just goes into my personal story. You know, I was married. I got married when I was I got married when I was 23. My wife at that time was 21, and we were married for about 8 years. And what happens? You start to get separated, and then you go through the divorce. Well, we also had 2 boys, and
wow.
Yeah, when my youngest was born was right when the crap hit the fan, So we had the, separation, and then she was not very forthcoming with letting me see my children, unless it was, when, where, how she wanted.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty bad in the beginning. And 4 year, it's 4.5 years now, almost, court battle just to be able to see my kids. So that all being said, right at this moment, like the last couple months, things are starting to really work in my favor, and things are getting better. That's partly because she got remarried and has 4 stepdaughters now. So that probably has a lot to do with it. And that's all I'm going to say about that personal story, because then, I don't want, make 3 steps forward, then a couple steps back. But during that time, fighting for my kids and all this stuff, I've came across like specifically fathers' rights groups, where there were so many men not only going through what I was going through, but going in some ways a lot worse than what I was going through. And it was very sad. And we all know in the back of our head, like, family court is not going to do well for fathers. We all know that, in the back of our head, yet we kind of just like, oh, that's not going to be me. That's not me. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in divorce. And my wife, we're Christian conservatives. We don't believe in divorce. It never happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm in the midst of it, and it did happen to me.
I feel like men are more delusional about it not happening to them than women are.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, men take more risks than women. So what's a bigger risk than getting married?
Well, I mean, if you think about it too, I mean, men love idealistically, right? Like, I feel like men are the true romantics. In women, women are hypergamistic. They're solipsistic. They're in it for themselves for the most part. And, which is sad. So as soon as like they fall out of love, and that like they're done, they're fucking done. Whereas guys are like, they'll still take it, right? Like, that's why guys live in sexless marriages for fucking 10, 15 years and shit like that.
Yep.
They're like, well, I made vows. This is how it is. And women, I think a lot of women, especially modern women, don't think that way.
Right. And, like I said, we were, very conservative Christians. And you would think, well, I understand that it was like particularly bad, because I'm like, I understand that modern women are like that, but my wife, not a modern woman. You know what I mean? And that became the problem, so I was kind of tricked, essentially, thinking that she wasn't a modern woman because she said all the right words and did all the right things. And
she was traditionally modern.
Traditionally
modern.
Yeah.
So I got a question.
Go ahead.
Do you think that you were actually, I don't have a better word than targeted by her?
So
because I often feel like I'm targeted, like, this sucker will pay for fucking everything.
Right. So believe it or not, I was studying to be a pastor when I was in college.
Nice.
Okay. I even went to seminary I even went to seminary for a year. Okay.
Wow, dude.
You just
Yeah.
did my 10th warning. I got
What?
you.
So, but we all know that women are hypergamous. I think, and I'm not. I got to be careful what I say because I don't want to downgrade my children's mother. But she really wanted to be a pastor's wife. Let me put it that way. She really wanted to be a pastor's wife. When I did a year of seminary, I was like, you know what? It's not like I lost my faith or anything, but I was like, this isn't going to be the path for me. And I'm not going to do that. And it was like, I felt in our relationship, a light turned off right at that point. She wasn't going to be able to get what she wanted out of the relationship anymore because I decided not to pursue being a pastor anymore.
Wow.
You know what's funny?
Guess who she's married to now?
A pastor.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's that makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, like locally, a pastor has a lot of status, like in a local group like that.
Right. And so does the pastor's wife.
Yeah.
She has a lot of status within the church community.
It's like the president and his wife. The president's wife, because she's with him now, is the first lady. So
and they give her responsibilities, within the church, and run the women's Bible study, do this and that stuff. Yeah,
they want that power and status.
I think I just answered my own question, right? But like, I was going to say, what's the allure to being a pastor's wife? But one of my business partners, Linton, is a pastor, and I've gone to church with him quite a bit. And some of these larger congregations, he's there, he's tall, he's dark, he's handsome, he's 6 foot tall, he's a business owner. He's the pastor. His wife's there. He's got 3 kids. He runs the church. He just handles everything. He's like this absolute friggin' pillar of a man in the community. And like, I know you're supposed to keep your eyes up front, but I do remember turning and looking back, and like every single mother in the church, which was most of them, like, are just drooling over this guy. Like, I don't get it. Definitely, there is an attraction.
Yeah, definitely.
What else is it?
Women are attracted to power and influence.
Yeah,
because pastors get groupies, dude. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, especially when you go to these like big churches and stuff like that. You definitely see it. In fact, my ex-wife's sister was exactly like that.
Wow, dude.
She purposely went to different churches and followed a pastor because she was a priest, because she was in love with him, but he was a priest. You know, it's like, it is what it is.
Shout out to all my pastors out there. Paul, do you have a question for Rocco?
Maybe not specifically a question, but you did a TikTok video recently on a recent news story that I actually I don't watch the news anymore. I try to stay out of the news. I think it's just too negative and shit.
Yeah.
So I don't like to focus on it. But I was on Twitter. I noticed Rollo Tomasi tweeted about this guy who came to his ex-wife's house to pick up his kids. She was dicking him around because, she was like, no, you come pick him up later or whatever, but it was his time, right? Like his set court time. And so she sends her boyfriend out. Her boyfriend,
I've seen that video.
Yeah, her boyfriend goes out, basically tells the dad like to fuck off or whatever. And the dad and the boyfriend get into an altercation. The boyfriend ended up shooting him.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy, man.
So there's
crazy.
The story is actually a little juicier than just that.
Go on.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Chad Reed is the father of the child. Chad Reed is the father. William Currith is the guy who shot the father. So that's the boyfriend. So we got William and Chad. So, William was having an affair. He's married to a district court judge. Okay.
Wow.
All right. He's married to a district court judge.
Attaboy.
And he's having an affair with this guy's ex-wife.
Wow.
Whoa.
Before all this crap happened, Chad Reed, the father, threatened to expose the affair.
Wow. It gets deep.
Right.
So not only was he,
I don't blame him.
Not only was the boyfriend defending the mom and the kids, but really he had a motive to kill this guy.
He had motive, opportunity, all the things you need to, and they purposely created a conflict to allow him to get a gun.
Wow. To
That's
make it
why-
look like
Wow.
Make it look like
wow.
self-defense. So, but it is, it depends on what, news organization you go to. Will they tell you everything? But the father's rights movement, they have a YouTube channel, and they actually did an interview with the two stepdaughters of Chad Reed. So these are his stepdaughters, and they're praising Chad. You know how hard it is for stepdaughters to give praise to a stepfather, and that's what they're doing publicly, nationally, saying that, there's a whole interview. If you guys have time, go see it if you want to know more about that story. But the story is, like you said, they had a specific time when the father, Chad Reed, was supposed to have the kids. He goes there. I think it's the wife's place of business, like her business offices. And he goes there. She says, I want to spend more time with him. I'm not giving him to you. And the kid wasn't even there, which tells me, like, doesn't sound like you wanted to spend time with him because he's not even there.
Sounds like one of those shows, show plot stories that I watch on A&E.
Yeah.
With deadly women trying to kill their husbands so that they can be with their boyfriends. It's very interesting.
And so things get very heated because the boyfriend comes out. And this is why I say, like, if you are doing a custody exchange, the new boyfriend, the new girlfriend do not need to be there, because it's only going to escalate everything. Just like, and just to let you guys know, I think this is the fourth time a father got shot during a custody exchange.
That's crazy.
Those custody exchanges, man.
This year. And so
I was going to say, I did a podcast episode with, I have a lawyer friend. He's a family attorney in Louisiana.
Oh, Paul, I saw that.
Oh, good. Hey, yeah, it was a good episode. Yeah, so he
great.
So yeah, my friend, he says that when he does child exchanges in the parental agreement, he always recommends, especially if, like, the two parties are not, working well together, he always recommends doing it in public places at a specific time.
Well, one of these stories, it was at a police station. The guy still got shot in the neck.
Wow, dude.
By the ex-boyfriend, by the new boyfriend.
Wow.
So go ahead, Chuck. Go. Yeah.
No, true story. Because I was doing these custody exchanges for a while, and I would do them at the police station with my ex. Now I have supervised visitation. But after a while, I would just go in and talk to the cops ahead of time and just tell them, look, I need somebody outside here because she's already scoped the place out and she'll park where it's not on camera. And she actually would. And I had a 2-way restraining order, and she'd come up and try to talk to you anyway. And I mean, the whole thing's a setup to begin with, but it was amazing how badly they manipulated the system. Now I'm working my way back out. I do supervised visitation exchange actually inside the courtroom. And they told me when I get custody back, which will be in 3 months from now, they want me to wait like 3 more months before I have everything expunged. I could do it now, but the case managers and the sheriffs actually now refer to me as the victim because they've been notating all the behaviors. Yeah, and still, I don't want full custody, I'll admit that, but I do want to see more of them. But they said even after I'm out of this program, we should still do the exchange inside there, where you have to go through a metal detector in the presence of officers.
Yes.
Supervisors, everything's on camera. And I tell them flat out, I don't feel safe around her. It's not that I can't handle myself, but just like I said with my first ex-wife, nobody's tough when you sleep.
Yeah.
They be sneaky, man. Girls are sneaky.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. You know what? One thing that I do that I've noticed, right, with a lot of these women that do this kind of bullshit is they like to play these games with their ex-husbands and not let them see the kids. They want to have full custody of the kids until it's time for them to find a new partner. Then all of a sudden the kids are a hindrance. And now it's totally cool that the father has time with the kids so that they have free babysitting so they can go out and fuck around.
You know? It only took me 4 years to wait around for that to happen. I mean, it's exactly what happened.
Not to talk shit about your ex-wife, but I mean, why did it take her 4 years to find a man? I mean, come on. I think that's the best thing about her, you know.
Yeah, my ex has finally started like posting pictures. Somebody told me with a new guy. I don't even look at the shit. I don't think I'm allowed to, but like started posting pictures with a new guy, and I guess my kids probably need some like serious dental work. And like, she's not allowed to talk to me. If she talks to me, I turn to the supervisor. I'm like, can you tell her she's not allowed to speak directly to me? We were packing up shit and putting it like in the kid's bag, and like she did the whole like touching your hand thing or whatever. Same thing. Can you please tell her she's not allowed to touch me? Thank you. But like, you can tell that she wants something. We guess the $1 million house, the fucking Mercedes, the Suburban, the kids, and the fucking business weren't enough.
Sad, man.
Black Spider Guy, do you have a question for Rocco?
Oh yeah, I got a question for Rocco. Rocco, I consider you to be the godfather of Red Pill on TikTok, because again, you were one of the first. No problem, man. You were one of the first people on TikTok to do what we're all doing now. How do you deal with? Because see, I don't show my face, right? But you do. Yeah. How do you like? So how has your life changed since you've gone viral and make all these videos? You know, I guess you're in a very conservative environment or area. You said you're a conservative Christian. So how do you deal with the backlash? How has your life changed now that you do all this stuff?
Well, I think I'm very rare, and where it really hasn't. I mean, I've been lucky that the only people that found out about my TikTok was my cousin. That's it. That's like anybody that I know knows about it. And it's like I'm not like particularly hiding. Obviously, I'm not saying where I work. I'm not saying where.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with those feminazis.
My last name. That being said, when I had my first account, I was getting daily death threats. Daily, like just new ones every day. Just like, here's another one. Hey, here's another one.
You ain't alone. You ain't alone, bro.
No. I'm like,
it ain't nothing new.
I'm laughing. I like some of them are funny because I don't take any of them serious. I wasn't taking any of them seriously because a lot of them were from. The average age was 18-year-old female giving me these death threats. So like, that was the average age. So like, I didn't care. One story you might find a little humorous. There was this girl who found me on Instagram, and every day for like a week, she was sending me like shrimp emojis. Like I'm going to Fortnite dance over your grave. Like just, and this girl was obviously 13 years old at most.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm just getting sick and tired of these crazy, ridiculous messages from a 13-year-old. I'm like, I'd beat my kids. My oldest is 6, but if he was 13, doing this stuff, I'd beat his ass. You know. Right. And so like, I'm like, I'm gonna find this person's mother, and I did, because she was dumb enough to put her actual name on Instagram. I found her mom on Facebook. I screenshotted everything. I sent it to her mother. I said, I'm a 30-plus-year-old man, and your daughter is DMing me these things. I have children, and I know if I was a parent, I would want to know if my kids were sending stuff like this to a 30-year-old man. Right. And she said she was pissed and all this stuff. She took her allowance for the month and donated it to whatever charity I wanted. And I said, well, the Americans for Equal Shared Parenting. How about that?
There you go. To them. There you go. That's a good story, man. Yeah. That's a very good story. I don't understand why there's a lot of, like, I've noticed this too. It's always 18 and down. They're all angry. But I actually recently started getting a lot more females following me. I don't understand why, but a lot of them, because I work out.
Because you're buff, dude. You're buff.
It's because you're getting huge.
Yeah.
I'm not huge. But I've been getting this one girl sent me like a heart and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, like, females are like adding me and like trying to ask me questions. And it's always like 25 and up. But it seems like 23 and down hate my soul, but 25 and up are in love with me, and I don't understand.
They hated me so much that I had an underage girl try to solicit sex from me. Like, that was her first message, trying to catch me into doing something naughty, which I have no interest in with anyone right now.
Of course,
and especially someone under the age of 18.
Hell yeah!
Just delete, just like immediately block. And yeah,
Crazy.
that's all that they were purposely trying to get me to, simp over an underage girl.
That's why simping is
That'd be
dangerous.
crazy. That'd be nuts, man. Them death threats that them young girls be sitting talking about. I'm gonna borrow my daddy's shotgun that I don't even know how to use, and I'm
some
gonna
of them were
shoot you.
vivid. Some of them were vivid. I'm gonna slice your throat from ear to ear,
Wow.
like they were bad.
Shows you what they're learning in school these days.
Right. Well, I mean, you say all these women, like all these younger women, like under the age of 18 or around that age, they are really being taught by media, all media, news media, social media, TV, movies, music, to hate men, to fear men, hate and fear men. And that's what they're being taught. That's what they're being taught at such a young age.
And that's what's being doubled down on. I mean, I've been noticing it even in like movies that I like to watch. Like I'm a big Marvel guy, and I'm a big like I like to watch The Flash. But even when I watch The Flash, or I don't watch Batgirl Batwoman or whatever the hell you want to call it, or Supergirl, I can't.
Supergirl, yeah.
Because when I watch it, when I listen to it, I'm like, okay, you clearly are trying to say that men can't do anything. Okay, you're clearly trying to say women are stronger. You're saying that in the future, women are stronger than men. It's like, and this is being brainwashed into kids' heads. I was actually also listening to old songs from the 90s and the 80s recently. And it's like you listen to it, a lot of the females were just talking about cheating on their husbands and cheating on their boyfriends, and it was just seen as like regular, but it was because of the way in the tone they were saying it in.
And I made a TikTok a while back. I said good men get no songs. And I asked TikTok, can you name me one song by a female singer or female band that was praising a man?
Destiny's Child, Cater to My Man was the only song I could find.
And Stand By Your Man, which was 50 some odd years ago. It's the only ones I could think of.
That's it.
Well, have you guys listened to any of this female country music? It's like more violent than gangster rap.
Yeah.
What? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, hey, Spider Guy, I stopped watching like the CWDC shit. I used to watch Green Arrow, like when it first came out.
Same.
Green Arrow, the first 2 seasons were like dark and gritty, and he would fuck people up and straight up murder bad guys. It was like, yeah, fucking get them.
Mm-hmm.
Then it started becoming like this campy liberal bullshit, and I finally had to completely remove myself from that shit when they did a whole episode on gun control and like you know what, we need to take a stand here against people with guns, and I'm like,
while he's shooting people with arrows, he's shooting people, killing people with arrows.
Yeah,
or
that's
like
acceptable because bows and arrows are acceptable, but fuck it. Like the thing is though, I mean, man, we're getting really political here, but the thing is though, but like when it comes to guns, right? It's okay for the people to have bows and arrows because your Second Amendment rights aren't about hunting. It's about defending yourself from a tyrannical government. You cannot defend yourself from a tyrannical government with bows and arrows. The Indians taught us this.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Anyway, I digress.
No, man. It like just to piggyback off what I originally was saying though, it's in the media, like you said, Rocco.
Yeah,
and it's scary. I mean, I stopped watching TV altogether, and I'm a black guy. I started watching some BET because I've recently been trying to find more content out there, and in the black community, man, like it's kind of crazy how the strong woman archetype is like paramount, and almost every movie, every like TV show, it's like the strong black woman, or like and it's spreading out to everything. But then I see girls in like comment sections saying, well, why don't men want to date strippers, or why don't men want to date a woman who's got 5 boyfriends? I don't understand. And it's like they don't care about what we have to say at all, but then they want us.
We're not allowed to have standards, but they can have unrealistic standards that must be met.
100%.
We're not allowed to have any.
I think it might go deeper than that in the black community. And I just want to bring this up to see if anybody's heard this, but I had a sociology class where they actually taught us that African American families are like the only families in the United States that are matriarchal.
Yes.
To follow the mother's lineage.
Yes.
So you've heard that.
I have in my family, even in my family. I mean, my father is strong, but he'll let my mother kind of just say or do whatever she wants because he just doesn't want to deal with that. But that kind of negatively affected his relationship with her because strong Black women still want stronger Black men. That's why Black women really like, quote unquote thugs and stuff, because the thug will put a gun to your head and then they go, "Oh, he's so cute," because that's the only way he can kind of trump her masculinity is by him just bringing out violence. But all it does is make the Black community much weaker and weaker because these are horrible things to hold as strength models.
Well,
I think I now understand why I pull so many Black chicks.
Well, the other problem is that women, and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. So if I'm overstepping, let me know. But particularly in the Black community, where they're telling women you don't need no man, and that's being then translated to these women who are saying, "I don't need no man." They're okay having children,
yes,
and then thinking to themselves, "If I don't need no man, my kids need no man." Even if they have sons.
Yeah, they'll tell their daughters.
Yeah. And particularly when it comes to boys, they need their fathers around. And sure, you got the stereotype, father leaves, never comes back. Okay, that dude
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Right, yeah. That's bad. I certainly don't encourage men to do that. That's bad.
No, I don't either.
Right.
How often is that really happening, though?
I honestly,
I feel like I've done that like by default.
Well, how often does court do it by default? Courts do it by default. Yeah.
Like I never intended to be Papa was a Rolling Stone, but the court system and being set up and a whole bunch of
that's the thing I brought up in a video actually, Chuck. I think a girl was saying, "Oh, all men are deadbeats," and I was like, "How many times does the court system make these men become deadbeats? And then how many times does the baby mother force the father to just give up because he doesn't want to deal with that anymore? And then he becomes a deadbeat, but he doesn't want to be. You just aggravated him to the point where he couldn't deal with it anymore.
Or he's priced out of it because it costs so fucking much to keep a lawyer on retainer, to keep fighting these different court battles.
Right.
So the only way that I've actually been able to like deal with it and sleep at night some ways is I think to myself, I'm not really contributing much at the moment, but Jesus Christ, I did carry their mother's ass for 7 years, not only cover all of her living expenses, and I mean fucking like everything, food, whatever. Right. I also funded her office, paid for that, and gave some of her employees places to live for free. But now she's making $250,000 running a business at home with 2 kids. So it's like, I feel like I set them up. Plus she's stable. She's not going anywhere because there's nowhere else she's going to get a house that big, that cheap.
Right.
And then you have the really bad route where parents, usually mothers, alienate the father in ways of purposely bad-mouthing the father, saying untrue things about the father in order for the kids to hate the father.
Oh, that's horrible, man.
That happens. There are 22 million parents who believe they're being actively alienated, from their kids.
Damn, man, that's a fact.
In North America. So that's Canada and America. But dude, how many kids is that? You're talking 20 million parents. It's at least 20 million kids.
Or more.
You're right. So that's the thing. So there are parents, again, usually fathers, who are being alienated, who are being lied to about their, there was a documentary called Erasing Family. And it was about this very issue, about how, it was kind of sad because they followed this one teenager who was told all these bad things about her dad, who was a biker, but then she, when she got older, she wanted to confront her dad, tell him how bad of a person he was. Then he brought receipts. He's like, look, this is, I fought for you on this date, on this date, on this date, on this date, on this date.
Yeah. The mother's a lie.
Years worth of court orders and trying to fight to seize. And then he's like, look, At this point, there was no way I was going to win. I reluctantly signed my rights over. Then the story tracks them where he legally readopts his own daughter.
Wow.
That's how that's how far some parents will go to alienate their children from the other parent.
Just to prove a point, too. Sometimes
out of spite. Out of spite.
Sometimes the mother doesn't even want to be a mother. She just wants to spite the father. And that's what really kills me. Kids will grow up in these homes with the mother. The mother won't even really be there. They'll be raised by TV. They'll eat TV dinners every night. They'll see a man come in and out of the house. Sadly, some of these daughters end up getting touched by a lot of these women's, boyfriends, and it's just a horrible environment. And they don't even want to be the mom. Once their daughters or their sons become 13 or 12, they start, not even kind of being in the kid's life because now the kid is independent. They don't want to deal with the child's personality, so they end up going out more, and it's sad, man. And the cycle repeats. The cycle repeats. Just
right. And look at the stats for kids who are raised without dads in the home. 70% of the people in jail right now come from single mother homes.
Wow.
Addicts, 73%.
Wow.
Suicide, teen suicide, 60%. Of the kids who commit suicide come from single mother homes.
Damn.
So you just look at all these, and then teen pregnancy. That's teen pregnancy. That's also in the 70%. So you start looking at these stats, and it's not to say that everybody who grows up in a single, with a single mother will end up like this, but those who do are very likely. It's 70 to 90%.
Significant amount. It's significant.
Right.
It's sad that these are never talked about. People hate when I bring up stats. I know one girl said, "Well, I'm not your stat." And I was like, I'm sorry that you don't like the fact that things usually happen in a way that goes against how you feel they should go, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Lie, numbers don't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've got a spite story, but I saw that J-Red wanted to say something.
I was just gonna say, or these single mothers just want to become hoes. That's what it is. They want to haul around. So they tell so they tell the kids,
they don't want to become. They want to revert back. See, this is taking them away.
Back.
They want to go back.
Back to the streets.
Go back to their natural environment.
Yes, sir.
Crazy.
Back to the streets.
So
back to the streets, or like Bruno Mars says, back to the city. And that's why you see a lot of this. Yeah, and that's why. It's crazy because I know some of these women. I know a lot of single mothers that lie to their kids talking about, oh, your father wasn't crap, or some of them will use the shame and tattoo, oh, your father was gay. No, daddy was all right. You just wanted to be a hoe.
Yeah.
I have a spite story that's interesting. It's not related to what we've talked about so far, but this is a very interesting spite story. There was a gal that I dated, and this was before I understood the concept of red flags and paying attention to red flags. And if I would have known what I know now, I wouldn't have dated her for as long as I did. But she had her second son was, she got pregnant in high school, right? Got pregnant in high school, and then she ended up moving out. She got her own place, and because she had her own place, now all of a sudden she was like, "Oh, look, I've got all this freedom and partying, stuff like that." Had a big party, got knocked up again. She was like, "Oh shit." She's conservative, so she didn't want to have an abortion, which I respect, but she was like, I can't have two young kids and no father around, and so she wanted to give this child up for adoption. So she was going to do that. The father actually was like, yeah, I don't want to raise a kid either. I'm okay with this. Well, his parents were like, whoa, we're not just giving this kid up to adoption, sending this kid to Never Land. We want to step in and adopt this kid, right?
Oh.
As soon as the parents of the father stepped in and were like, we want to adopt this kid, she immediately got into spite mode and was like, no, I want him now.
Wow.
And ended up keeping her son basically out of spite to keep him out of the hands of the
Wow.
father's parents.
Well,
Jesus.
what's effed up is
What's
that,
effed up is I stayed with her for a while. Like,
well,
that's what's fucked
Wow.
up. Okay, that's what's fucked up. All right, go ahead.
well, you admitted it, so we're good.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, by law, she never had to tell him that she got pregnant, and she could have adopted that kid without even letting him know he had a kid.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Yeah, by law, he has zero rights to that kid. She can legally adopt out that kid without ever telling him.
Yep.
Wow.
I have another
Wow.
story. I have another story on that too. My cousin knocked up a gal, and she didn't want to keep the kid, and so she, basically went through the whole pregnancy without telling him.
Yeah.
And had the kid, had the baby, the birth certificate issued without his name on it.
Yeah.
That's when he found out about it and was like, oh my God, I have a kid. And she was like, I'm adopting it out. So he tried, got like his family, like my cousin. So he's like my second cousin. His family lawyered up and tried to fight for this kid. And they ended up adopting this kid out to a family in Utah. And so they were fighting the court system in Utah, and basically they completely lost because he never got his name on the birth certificate as
right.
the father.
Legally has no right. So there was a story in South Carolina. Now I forget the guy's name, so I'd have to look it up. But this guy, so in South Carolina, there is one recourse a guy can do. If he knows that he got a girl pregnant, he can register his name on a government website saying, hey, my child's expected due date is this. I'm going to have a child. This is me acknowledging my rights as a father. Now, she shouldn't be by South Carolina law. This isn't in every state, but mind you, but in South Carolina law, she shouldn't be able to adopt out that child. However, somehow she did. A family out in California came out and was able to adopt the child, even though the man took the legal steps he needed to, extra steps. I think more steps than he should have to be able to establish his rights as a father, and they didn't care. They adopted the kid out, and it took him like years to get it all straightened out.
Wow,
years.
Man. This is why I ask girls all the time, please tell me again who is oppressed.
Right, yeah.
And
the other, so how about this? The other effed up situation is if you're married, okay, and you have a kid, you're father by default. If she went and cheated on you,
right,
and you never knew about it, and you had a kid and you thought that kid was yours, you only have 2 years in most states and most jurisdictions to petition paternity. Okay?
Wow.
So when that child turns 2, she can come out that day and be like, this child isn't yours. I cheated on you. I'm leaving. She kicks you out of the house. You probably, go through the whole divorce proceedings. You get kicked out. She brings in the proverbial milkman that got her pregnant. Now that dude's living in your house, and you get to pay child support.
That's why you need a
because
DNA
that
test.
child is legally yours, and you went too far to you took too long to petition paternity. Now you're paying for child support for 16 more years.
That's why they need mandatory DNA tests. I'll be saying it.
It should be for every couple, anybody. If you're a man signing a birth certificate, automatic DNA test. Married, not married, nothing. That way you don't have to have that awkward conversation with your wife. Be like, hey, I kind of want to get a DNA test to make sure you're not, screwing around on me. Because that can
you can request that from the hospital, right?
You can, and then you can have that awkward conversation with your wife. You know what I mean? Like, if it's mandatory, well, she has nothing to say about it. It's like, okay, here you go.
I would do it in secret.
Yeah.
Or you can do what I did and have your kids already and then get a vasectomy. So you don't have to fucking worry about it anymore.
Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys have seen that video on TikTok. I stitched it, but there was a guy that spent 5 years in prison for failing to pay child support.
Oh yeah,
for a kid that was not even his. And this kid, it was a boy. This kid looked like he was like in his late teens or what have you. But this dude spent 5 years in prison because he failed to pay child support for a kid that was not even his. And it's just like, I told fellas, man, y'all need to get a paternity test, man, the day that these kids are born, or put a condom on, or ladies stop spreading your legs for every damn body. Something.
You know what's crazy about that video though?
Something needs to change.
Once the judge said that's not your child, the lady then said, "Oh, I knew it wasn't him the entire time," and I was like, "Wow." So
Well,
you let him be in jail for 5 years. The judge then says he's not the father, and then you go, "Well, I knew the whole time." She should go to jail now.
She should absolutely fucking go to jail.
She should. She should. But I don't know what the deal is, man. I don't know what the deal is, men. I don't know. We don't do nothing about it. That's why a lot of these women are able to just do whatever it is that they want to do, because we're not being men about the.
A lot of men can't afford it though. I mean, a lawyer where I'm at, right? I live out in the country, and I feel like lawyer prices are pretty low. My lawyer cost me $250 an hour.
Jesus, Paul.
Yeah.
That's
low. That's low.
That's pretty low. That's low. I live out in the country.
What did your divorce run in total, just like lawyers?
Shit. I know we had like $18,000 in cash from the sale of our house. She ran away with half of that already. Luckily, she just left me the other half because she wasn't a complete bitch.
You're lucky.
I ended up spending that $9,000 completely on lawyer fees. I think in the first 3 months, and I still had like another like 7 months and shit of out of pocket. So I paid quite a bit. Yeah.
Paul, do you know who my lawyer is?
Who's the lawyer?
Me. You know how much I pay myself? I don't pay myself nothing. I work for free. Not guilty automatically.
A person that represents himself has a fool for a lawyer, though.
Well, I did. I had to.
When they represented themselves.
You see the DNA test, Your Honor?
I've seen lawyers defend themselves in court and open with that.
Yeah.
Like lawyers on trial.
Yeah. Well, I've seen and heard of pros and family. See, the problem is family court is way different. Way different than criminal court. It's even different than most civil cases because judges usually have like extreme discretion on what they can do. So I know when you're going through a divorce and you're going to, going through the finances and stuff like that, the laws are pretty set. But even those times, judges have extreme discretions to get rid of your the pre-marriage agreement, prenup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that prenup
judges really can throw out a prenup really for
what's the point of a prenup if it can be so easily thrown
out? If they think it's unfair, if they think it's unfair,
have written, and it's an industry,
right? You got to remember the family court system is a $50 billion a year industry. That's just family court for the lawyers.
Christ.
So when father, there's only 2 states right now that have 50-50 custody.
Texas?
Default. No. Texas is actually one of the worst states for fathers. Honestly.
Wow.
Texas is one of the worst. But the 2 states is Kentucky and Arkansas just passed the law this year. There's only 2 states that guarantee 50-50 custody as a starting point. Okay?
Wow.
And the biggest reason why it's so hard to get these laws passed, even though you have Republicans and Democrats liking this law, because guess what? This affects everybody. It doesn't just affect Republicans. It doesn't just affect Democrats. It doesn't just affect independents. It affects everybody.
Exactly.
Okay? And race,
but why
money,
is it so
everything.
hard? Why is it so hard to get father-friendly laws?
In order for a law to get passed, it first needs to go through committee. So like if you're trying to pass a transportation bill, it goes through a transportation committee made up of that state's House or Senate members, part of their members. Okay. Now, if you want to change a law on how law is interpreted or court proceedings,
Right.
it has to go through what's called the judicial committees.
Okay.
Guess who makes up those judicial committees?
Oh.
Retired judges and lawyers who belong to the Bar Association. Now, who is the biggest opponent of equal shared parenting? The Bar Association and feminist groups. Two biggest
But
ones.
the feminists say that men are deadbeats all the time. That men need to be
Exactly,
because
that's the thing. It doesn't.
The bar association being against it is insane. I mean, that's like we can win the war on drugs, but then there'll be a ton of cops and DEA agents out of business. We could just have shared 50-50 parenting all the time, but then these rich fucking divorce lawyers who sit on the bar association out of business.
Right, exactly, and that's exactly why. Because it's too much incentive to keep it the way it is. It's too much money.
I love my friend Matt, who's my lawyer friend that was on my podcast. But the more I talk to him, the more I see the reason why he pushes for relationships and marriage and shit is because he benefits the most. Like I had a friend
making more clients,
right? Yeah. I had a friend in the Navy when gay marriage passed, right? Like gay marriage became like a nationwide thing. The first thing out of his mouth was the only people benefiting from gay marriage are the divorce attorneys.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fucking fact.
And that's the thing. And so that's why it's extremely hard to get these passed. And because of some very far left-wing feminists, they could be men or women in politics, or sometimes you have the very traditional Republicans who were like, well, we're not going to change that. You know, a woman needs to do that.
Please tell me
even
again, who is oppressed?
Right. It makes no... it's so frustrating. And that's why, because you're literally going up against the Bar Association. And that's just part of the money. There's another thing when it comes to child support. It's called Title 4D funding. I'm sorry, this is getting into like crazy,
Nah, this is important, man.
Please go. We have another.
This is important, man.
Yeah, it's called Title 4D funding. It was part of the Social Security Act, I think, passed in 1975.
Right.
It required every single state to get a child support system going, collection agency, going in their own states. Now, Title 4D funding, there's statutes there, and Title 4D is like, I don't know, 300 paragraphs long. Okay.
Jesus.
Just that part of the Social Security Act.
Oh, boy.
All dealing with child support. And part of that was that basically for every dollar that the state spends in collecting child support payments that are ordered to be paid, the federal government will reimburse at minimum like 60% or 66%.
Wow.
And if they collect like 90%, then it goes up to 80%, that kind of thing.
I think Retired Goat in one of our podcasts talked about this too, talking about how they get reimbursement and it's like a big old like pot.
Right. And so it goes into their state funding. And there's this guy, his name was Michael Strauss, I think from Michigan. He was a Bar Association lawyer. And in Michigan, they say that they use their Title 4D money for food stamps, for their food stamp program. Again, everything's put in a pot, and then but that's what they say it goes to.
It all goes to the general fund.
Right, exactly. And so Michael Strauss III was up on in a court hearing debating about a 50-50 custody bill in Illinois. It was in Illinois,
right?
And flat out said, "Look, if we do 50-50 shared parenting in this state, we will lose Title 4D funding and not be able to fund our food stamps."
Wow.
Flat out just said,
You're kidding me. You're kidding me.
Flat out said, look, if we do this, we're going to lose federal funding and we can't afford our food stamp program anymore. So let's keep being unfair to fathers in the judicial system, because F them, and they can fund through their child support payments our food stamp program. So this also incentivizes judges to give custody over to one parent, because child support is usually calculated based off how much custody does one have and how much do they make. So if you
and the man usually makes more.
The man usually makes more, and therefore if you give more custody to the woman, that's more monetary child support that he has to give over to them.
Bro, you're telling me that all of this is just a game,
right? And then funds, it goes, like I said, it goes in the general fund, but these are paying these judges' salaries, their pensions.
And Rocco, you know what's crazy, man? When you're a kid, you're told, you'll find a woman, you'll get some kids, you'll have a family, and then it's, you get older and you do that, you get screwed, and then you learn that it's all been devised by some giant system that's been around before you were even alive.
Right.
And they're just draining all of us men together in this giant pool of slavery through money and pooling. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, man.
And you know what? I don't want to give the government that much credit. Everything just happened. A lot of this stuff just happened by accident. Because the Social Security Act, the Title 4D stuff, that came out in 1975. How was our family dynamics back in 1975? You could have a one-income house. Right. Man makes everything. And part of the reason they were doing the Title 4D funding was to ensure that women didn't start going on the welfare rolls. It was to reduce the welfare spending.
So why didn't they fix that law once that changed?
That's the thing. Now people see that, hey, this is making us money. It's my job as a representative to bring as much money into my state as possible. So I'm not going to say
they don't care about the people. It's about incentive. Jesus Christ, man.
So yeah, it wasn't made specifically to screw over men. It was made during a time period where you could afford to live off one income. Now that's impossible.
These ancient freaking laws.
Right. So now you have households, the vast majority of households, who are living kind of like the paycheck to paycheck type thing. So you have woman bringing in some, you have man bringing in some, let's just say 50%. They're both bringing in 50% of the total. Now, if they get a divorce and child custody and alimony and all this stuff, well, alimony, they shouldn't get anything if they were bringing in the same, but with child custody, if the woman's awarded majority custody, he has to pay her child support. Right. And it's going to be close to 40% of his net pay. That's just pretty much how it's going to be. It's going to be his net pay.
So Rocco,
he has to figure out how to live and be able to take care of his kids on the weekends or every other weekend. So he has to find a house suitable enough for him and his kids to live in, usually, which was taking him 2 incomes to do.
Right.
And so he's forking over 40% of the net income over to her, and she's only working with 90%, so she doesn't think it's enough.
So Rocco, do you think that's why girls look at men confused when men say marriage isn't useful in the modern day? I know Jamie Foxx, an actor, said that marriage has no value in the modern day. He got a lot of shit for that. Why do you think girls say men are stupid if they don't want to get married, or you just can't get a woman?
Because I think women really, look at marriage and relationships like Disney. It's like these Disney relationships. So it's like, oh, we're going to find each other and we're going to fall in love and our lives are just going to be somehow so much better because we're in it together. You know what? And they think that's how guys look at relationships. And so they don't improve on them.
A lot of guys do. A lot of guys do look at relationships like fucking Disney princesses.
Right. Now they are. They didn't used to.
The simps, man.
Guilty.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Chuck?
Chuck said he's guilty. Yeah.
But but what he's saying is so the men who say, hey, marriage isn't for us anymore, there's no reason to. So the women who are still in that fantasy land, and the men that are in the fantasy land, because I've said plenty of times, there's no real world reason to get married unless you're very conservative Christian and you don't have sex until you're married.
Right.
That's literally all I could think of. And obviously, because I come from that, I'm going to respect someone's morals and stuff like that.
Right.
If that's the way you want to live. That's good. I think that's fine. So that's the only actual reason I can think of.
The Disney delusion.
But yeah,
I did it again because I'm a risk taker. and I did. Just
You know
knowing,
what's-
but if my life goes that wrong again, just knowing like the divorce party and the avalanche of ass that ensues, like, I mean, the best way to get over one woman is to get under another and another. But one of my friends described it to me best. Like when I told him I was getting divorced the first time, he just sent me a picture of a life preserver and it said, "You'll be needing this."
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say this to Paul because because like I'm sort of Mgtow, and I know you have some feelings about people who are Mgtow.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? I think you're just a little unfair. I'll say it that way, a little unfair. However, I will say there are men in the Mgtow community that are definitely like, as you say.
Well, Well, I mean, so my point on that, I've spoken to Texas Desert Sailor about this. I've talked to, I had a guy on my podcast named Dave Glazer about this.
Okay, yeah.
Like I feel like there's two types of Mgtow, right? There's the guys that are like, look, I'm done with marriage, but I'm happy to like date, have fun, whatever. Like they're not completely giving up on women, but they're like they're done with like the whole legal aspect. And I respect that because I'm sort of in that same boat. Like I'm I'm very much like I look at marriage like there's really zero benefit for men. But yeah, the guys who are like, okay, I'm done with women completely. I'm just gonna go and play Xbox and jerk off in my basement. I'm like, okay, you're a fucking quitter. Like that's
I can understand that. So like I'm basically like I'm Mgtow monk, as some people say.
Yeah.
But it's not because I want to go play video games. It's not because I want to go
jerk off in your basement.
Pleasure myself. But you know, right now, you know, like I said, for the last 4.5 years, I've been trying just to be with my kids.
Right.
Like that was it. I let myself go. I got fatter. You know, and I let myself go because I was, you know, I have a philosophical mind, you know, that's what I trained to do, philosophical, theological mind. And so I just wanted to read child psychology. I wanted to read the law. I wanted to get in these forums, try to find, because like I said, I was doing a lot of this stuff pro se. So I was learning how to fill out these documents. I was learning how to talk like a lawyer. And you know, I would pay a lawyer to advise me because that was way cheaper than having him go all the way up to court, make the same arguments I was going to make anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's, you know, so I had a lawyer advise.
So Rocco, if you're Mgtow, how come you don't call yourself, what's the difference between red pill and Mgtow?
Well, I would, it's an umbrella. So like most Mgtow men are red pilled. Right. They understand women, you know, and hypergamy and all that stuff.
Right.
But they just decide to like, you know what? I see how the game is. Don't even want to play. I'm done.
So Mgtow, you would say, is like I'm done with women part of red pill.
Right. It's men going their own way. It's like, look, I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to, you know, work on my mind. I'm going to work on my physical appearance. I'm going to work on my job or my, you know, building wealth, all this stuff. That's what I'm going to spend my focus on.
Because I was Mgtow when I first got into red pill content. I was Mgtow for about 2 years, where I was just angry at women. I didn't understand them.
I was gonna say, like, if you talk to Rollo Tomasi, if you read more than just The Rational Male, right? Like he's got 4 other books. Yeah. If you read all of that stuff, you know, I would say most people would look at him as like the de facto expert in red pill. He doesn't recommend people just completely giving up on women. He sort of looks at it like, take what I'm giving you, understand them better, and then make better decisions and be a better man about it. Yeah. So I mean,
well, like from my point of view, like, so I'm 35.
Yeah.
And you know, I have 2 kids who, you know, I've been fighting the sea, you know, so definitely during that time. Now that things are getting better, I'm looking at relationships and I'm looking at like, okay, what is available to a guy like me right now? A lot of single moms.
Sure.
And no hate on single moms, but I would hate, let's say I, you know, found a woman, she has, you know, kids or whatever, and things start going out great. And she has her kids all the time. And, which I would say is probably a red flag if she has her kids all the time and that isn't around.
That would never work out. and never.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But even still, I would feel it's like, okay, now I'm having these kids who are in my life now, and I'm actually getting to know them better because they're in my life more than my own kids. It's like, screw that. You know what? I want my kids. These are my kids. I because I'm their father, I should have authority over them. You know, when I should have authority over them, I want to teach them about life. I don't want my ex-wife's new husband to do it.
Right.
I'm not saying anything bad about him. I don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't care less about him, other than if he did something bad to my kids, then we're gonna have problems. But I don't think anything like that's gonna happen. But
I
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just put out a thing on Instagram today on the only way I see it working with single moms, because I'm a single dad myself, and I do like dating single moms. So I'm not like in the Rich Cooper, space where I'm like, writing a whole chapter on why you fucking shouldn't date single moms.
Right.
But there are certain things you should definitely look at, right? Like if they have their kids full time, it's never going to work out.
Unless they're a widow or something like that. Yeah.
Right. Well, even then, it's still not going to work out because like they have their kids all the time.
Well, that and like I have my kids on the weekend. When do women usually don't have their kids? On the weekend.
Yeah. So they have to be on like the same parenting schedule, or it's not going to work out. And then you have to basically set like boundaries with them and say, look, I am not going to parent your kids. I don't want you parenting my kids. We can have a thing together, but otherwise, like, we need to keep that kind of stuff separate. Like a lot of women are cool with that because their kids have a dad, and the way I look at it, like my kids have a mom. I don't need someone else to come and mother my kids.
Right.
They're cool with that. Fine. If they're not cool with that, they're not for you anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah.
So as long as you can set those boundaries,
Well,
dating single moms.
But like I said, like pragmatically, like how many women only see their kids on the weekend? Like not.
It's rare.
It's very rare. So that reduces my dating pool of at least of single moms to almost nothing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and then I'm looking the other side. Like, I don't think my kid, like I couldn't put my kids through like another really bad, like divorce or breakup or anything like that either.
Yeah.
Or I like my kids and I would not survive a false allegation just in case, I got involved with some crazy chick by accident,
Yeah. Right. That's why red flag, like being able to identify red flags and not ignoring red flags is so paramount for guys. And most guys don't fucking do that. Yeah.
Right.
It's that simping, bro. It's that simping. They see big titties and ass and then they're done.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I still appreciate that stuff. I mean, I might be a Christian, but I'm not dead. And so like, and then, I guess it's also a little bit more of my traditional values of sex, which might be vastly different from you guys. But it's like, I don't want to just go and pump and dump and go around and just, have these meaningless relationships.
You're a traditional man in a modern world.
Right. I am a traditional man, in a traditional world. I really am. And
modern.
A traditional man in a modern world.
Yeah.
And so like, I feel like out of place in the dating world now, and in my community, like, oh, he's a single dad. That's a no. And like all these girls are getting married when they're in their 20s and,
Rocco,
as
a Christian though, the best thing about it is that you can do all sorts of horrible shit, right? You can be a sinner, you can pump and dump. But as long as you ask for forgiveness at the end, you get in for free, baby.
It doesn't exactly work that way, but I appreciate the joke.
No. It's okay. It's pretty spot on.
Like comedian TK Kirkland says, man, when you die, you go to heaven. You got to fill out some paperwork. They're gonna be like, roll the tape, angels, roll the tape.
Lots of debauchery on that tape.
Hey, and some of them hoes are gonna be like, stop the tape. Hey, man, Rocco, that's some good stuff, man. Thank you for coming on. So tell people where can they find you?
They can find me on TikTok. I also have a YouTube channel. It's a_fathers_crisis. And on TikTok, like I have a whole bunch of underscores after it, basically to show how many times I've gotten banned. So if I get banned again, there'll be an extra underscore.
Oh, that's
at the end
cool.
of it. Yeah, to at least try to like people who are like typing my name in will always find my new account. So
that's why a lot of
Yeah,
us like we put a hashtag for whatever our shit is, so you can always find our shit with that specific hashtag. You know.
yeah.
Hey,
Hashtag
Rocco. Hey,
18
Rocco.
million
You, Paul, Chuck, and Black Spider got advice. Should all start a podcast called the Band Club because I have not been banned yet, so I cannot. I don't know what it's like. So you guys can do your own thing. But there you guys have it, man. Rocco, may your words,
Twitter,
yes, sir. May your words, may your wisdom be heard all over the world. Guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, buy our merch. Link is going to be in the description. Hashtag who's oppressed, because ladies, it sure as hell ain't you. Okay, so we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
Until then, peace.
yes.